Right, hello again. Now this is where it gets a little bit more careful. This is my blue pizza moment. This is one I did earlier. And as I say, put it in the airing cupboard to dry it out so that it's absolutely bone dry. Now, the picture I decided to paint on it is this one. As you can see, this is the Leaning Tower of Pisa in bright and brilliant sunshine. So I'm going to use it as a silhouette rather than try to incorporate all the light and dark that's in there at the moment. As I progress, I will in fact be thinking of shadow and that sort of thing. But initially, what I'm going to do is make a very pale mix of the two colors I used to paint the sky and use that to put in the silhouette of the skyline, in effect, and probably lower down as well, but certainly the skyline. Okay, now the two colors I used were transparent orange, which is a beautiful color, and Prussian blue, believe it or not. And they give a beautiful dark. I don't want it to be all that dark to begin with, but I do want it to be sufficient to make a show. And I've also got to decide where on my picture I am going to start, and if I actually want it that way around or that way around. I think I do want it this way around. I like that glow of orange, and I will leave just enough of it to put a glow here around the tower, which would be a rather attractive thing to do. So I might move the whole shooting match, cut off a bit of this tree perhaps. It needs to be there, but I don't want to cut it off entirely. So if I do it there, what that's going to do is move the tower over so that it is partially, at least, in that nice orange glow I've got. Because I didn't know which picture I was going to paint on here until I got around to doing it. Right, so I think I can actually lie it flat now, which will make life a little bit easier, because it will mean I can put the picture up there and we'll be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to mix the color now, so people online won't see what I'm doing, but I've got some transparent orange, which is straight out of the tube, so it's nice and thick. I'm going to put a little bit of water with it to show the brush the water, so to speak. It's quite important, I understand, to work the paint on the palette so that you break down the gum arabic that's in the paint, and it therefore goes on the paper better. I'm going to clean that brush and pick up, and I've dried it off a bit, and pick up some of the Prussian blue and put it in. Prussian blue is a bit of a killer, and it has just killed the orange. So I'll have to go back and put some more orange in. Again, dry it off so you're not taking too much water. Try it on the back of you. That's the right color, but a bit strong. There we are. That's the right color, but it's a bit strong. It needs to be a little less violent, maybe a little touch more blue in it, just to grey it off a bit so it isn't quite so brown. Well, that's reasonably acceptable, and a little touch more water with the mix so that I get that. Now, do I want it that, or do I want it a bit more blue so that it's more that? I think I'll go with that. If I went there wouldn't be sufficient contrast with the silhouette and the sky. So I'm going for the one I've just done, which has a bit more blue in it. Okay. Right, so I'm going to start over here, and I said I was going to take a bit of that tree out. So just to remind me, I'm going to fold it. I find it quite difficult to imagine where I've cut it out. So that way around, at least I have. Now, what I have done is fold it on a place where the tree, top of the tree, is level with the top of the tower. I want to push it up a bit. So I'll take it back a bit further. Probably there. That's a bit better. The top of the tree there is a bit higher. It's got a nice rounded shape. So I'm going to start about here and just lay on a very faint. I'm not worrying about texture now. I'm worrying about shape. Oh, right. Sorry, folks. Very faint here, and I'm just pushing the paint around. It doesn't matter if I get a hard line down here, because the foreground is going to be so much darker that that hard line that I do get will disappear in the nature of things. But I might as well at least make an attempt to get it at that wall there. And then out of there, we've got the roof of the building, which comes here. And the building is solid, so I'll paint that in there. And the roof comes over. Right, so the tower is here. It comes out of the roof at an angle. Surprise, surprise. We got a lovely shot of it appearing to peep out behind the basilica, which was rather charming. And then there is, and again, we've got a circle there. Right, so it comes down at an angle. Now, part of the characteristics of the silhouette is every now and again it sticks out a little bit. So we come down the side and then round about there, we've got a little bit sticking out. Round about there. It's just the top of the, yes, it's the tears coming down. About there. And then we get into the, right, okay. And while I'm at it, I want that to be a nice join, not a pathetic join. Right, okay, so that's there. Now, of course, I've run out of paint, haven't I? This is... I always tell you, don't I? Make enough paint. Right, now we've got a little cupola. Where are we? Round about here. And a building which goes across, and then just to point it up that that's at an angle. This one is the basilica itself. Excuse me, I'm just going to turn sideways to get that curve. And if you can use the whole brush, do, to get the shapes that you want. The paint goes on better. And there's a sort I'm going to use a little brush for that diddle at the top. If you want less water, more precision, go for a smaller brush. There is a sort of this one is a 2, believe it or not. What has come over me? There we are. Now, because if you look at that, how spotty that is, because I was not taking care to use the whole brush to put the paint down. It's as simple as that. If I'd paid attention and used the whole brush to get the paint on the surface. Now, from there, this comes down and there's a bit that sticks out round about there on both sides. And then we go into another curved roof here. See, I'm taking the time to get this right as far as possible. Any indiscretions, I hope to make good. Right. This is a 10. And then there's more along here. A flat building of some description. And again, it doesn't matter what it is. It's the outline shape that I'm after. And I don't need to worry about the trees because they're going in darker. Can't see, well, actually it's covered by a tree, so it doesn't matter. And then there is a tree here. I've proved the whole thing, so some of this isn't going to be used. There's a tree round about here, which I can even make it as tall as I want to make it. In actual fact, it's going to join in with the foreground. Right. So I'm aching to put this right now. I can manage it. I will be working on top of that because it's I can just paint this down here now because it's going to be covered, so it doesn't matter that it's got a hard edge to it because there's all kinds of things to go in front of it. I just want to bring this down a little bit if I can. And I suppose I ought to use this for the street as well because the street won't be black. So we'll and the picture ends here. So we'll just put in a bit of a in there. I've got a little bit of adventitious blue in the mix now coming from something else. I just want to get this down here to act as the ground. There we are. So that's the basic layout of the skyline that I've done. Right. Okay. So now we get specific. If I look at this picture now, the tree is well in front of the right. The tree is well in front of the tower and even more in front of the cupola at the back here. So that's going to be part of my dark silhouette. This house will not be in the light in, the sunset. So I'm not going to make that light. That's going to be all dark too. And I'll bring this part of the house dark as well, which will push the tower back behind the behind the building. Now, to do that, I need a dark paint, a very dark paint. So I'll just, the ultramarine has decided to invade. So I don't want that in. It's the wrong mix. Okay, so I've got my paint here straight from the tube, and I'm picking it up very, very thick here. I'll probably use all of that dollop. In fact, it might be sensible to use all of that dollop. I can always put out another dollop, can't I? Okay, and without washing the brush, I've gone straight into the blue, which was probably a silly thing to do. However, there we are. Now that is quite a thick dark paint. It needs a little bit more water because it's not moving at all. But you can see how black it is just by mixing the Prussian blue with the orange. What I've done is to mix the three primaries, because orange is red and yellow and the Prussian blue is blue and yellow. So I've got a full mix there, and it gives you a lovely dark. I twist the brush in the mix so that it gets something of a point there. And now I'm going to put in a foreground of what I feel will help the picture. And this is quite a spiky tree, so I might... Oh, yeah. Sorry. There we are. This is a spiky tree here. Holding it in your teeth isn't a good idea. So if I just pull up some of the paint that I've got there with my smaller brush. But this is a silhouette, so this is all going to be dark here. All of this is going to be dark. There's a bit of a brush there. And again, I can spike this up. But what that will do, it breaks the outline. I want to make it just a little bit airy there. So that gives you a sort of airy-fairy outline that says tree. And then we got roof. Comme ça. And that roof comes over the tower to about there, and then plunges very dramatically inside the tower, like that. So I can pull that down there. Again, using the body of the brush, not trying to differentiate this house from the tree or from anywhere else, just pulling it down. As we go. Come on. This question of water and paint is one of those things, isn't it? With now I want this foreground round about here. That's plunged to there. So round about, it's not quite as bad as that. Let's get it there, and then we'll bring it down, because that's the house. There, right, okay. And if I finish it off round about here, I can take the view that that is the bottom of the wall, which will be in deep shadow. A lot of paint, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, no wonder. So that's in deep shadow. I can attend to that later, but I've got as far as the deep shadow there. Don't know what's happening here. Something will happen. I must attend to my skyline, if you like. Around about here, there's a tree. Now, because I've got a point on the brush, I can make these cypress trees. And then you press on the brush for the flat of the tree. And you get your tree without even trying. Okay. And then we move along a bit. And in front of the cupola here, that's actually a tree in shadow, which wouldn't be the case in sunset. So I'll put the tree in. There's the tree round about there. Now it's not quite so pointy, that one. And again, a nice fat body of the tree. Here, we'll work out what to do with this bit in a minute. Just see if we can get it fastened together somehow. Right, okay. Where else have we got darks? Well, if we come over this side, this tree here is going to be in the dark. I'm just sort of, whisking the brush over it's a different kind of tree, so it'll have a different aspect to it. It's coming out over here. And by whisking the very thick paint over the paper, this is Bockingford Rough. It gives me some indication of what's going on down here. If I was thinking about it, I could have put in the lamppost, but I didn't think about it, so I'm not putting in the lamppost. Right. Now, there's a group of trees here. Yeah, come on. That's that one. And there's that one. And he's attached to that one, so we don't have to worry too much about him. And then round about here, we have another one, round about there. And he's nice, big and fat, so he's going to take up quite a lot of room. And he comes down here to this area down here. So I'm going to have to make some more paint. So while I'm making more paint, I'll be thinking furiously what I do next. That's a nice dark there, right? Okay. Now I can. This is quite dark, much darker than I've done about it there. That's okay, because that will differentiate these trees from the one behind them. Right, so that rounds off quite neatly there. Then I think I'll bring that down a bit because I brought them fairly low. So I'll bring that further down. I'll round it off a bit there. And then these, I want to suggest going back. So these will be rounded off a little bit further back at the bottom. Quite ignoring the white, whatever it is in front of them. I'm just trying to get these. Now, there's a building here in front of the cupola. What I could do there is to thin the paint down just a little bit so that it's still dark, but not as dark as this here and see if I can address the shape that is coming here. Because even in sunset light, there would be some kind of configuration. This is a rounded shape there with a shadow across this building.
10 minutes.
Coming down here. Right, and I think that's reasonably all right. We'll make the whole of this building here in shadow, but not as serious shadow as the tree next to it. Right, now then. Okay, and just put in something. Don't know what it is. People, trees, traffic lights, street furniture, something. Right, now I return to the little brush and see if I can suggest from here, just taking some water to this edge across here. There we are. I will take the water off, pick some more paint up. I can put in those little dark shadows, which are the inside of the pillars. So I'm doing the shadows to show the pillars. And if you use a little brush, you can leave a very thin line, which is quite attractive. So you have a thin pillar and quite a thick shadow, and it goes on round there. And then if you look lower down, there are more down here. Take that a bit higher. And then when you get down here, there are much bigger ones, which are rather nice. So this has turned into something else now. I have observed a bit more carefully what I've got here. I can suggest what's going on around here. Those little ones. If I was really looking, I would notice that some of them are darker than others and so on. So you begin to get some detailing. That kind of detailing on the tower itself will start to pull it out as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Well, it's just a sort of funny shape stuck in the thing. But if I started to play on with that too, you've got a very you've got a very thin shape there, and then these are shadows. And just laying the brush on, and by laying the brush on, each one will be mildly different from the one adjacent to it, which is, makes for a but remember it's sloping, so but remember not to put them upright. It's very difficult painting a sloping building unless you don't want to, and then they appear like magic. I can probably get rid of those, or at any rate make them a little bit less obviously. Right, and then there's another curve which goes down there. And we have more of these underneath. And if I look at it, they're quite dark on this side, and they would be with the sun behind. These would be quite dark here, so it actually would throw up the thing. So, right. So, well, you can see what I'm doing is this could go on forever. I'll probably leave that as a silhouette because it's even further back than this. I'm hoping these darks are going to dry a little bit lighter than they are. I might, since I'm experimenting, see if I can take some of it out. Oh, that works. Oh, that works a treat. Oh, I'm pleased with that. That's great. Just a little touch, and they're there, but they're darker at the top than they are at the bottom as they are in the picture. So it's altogether a more pleasing thing. So that's in fact what you are aiming to do. Do you notice that while I was doing that, this has gone haywire here? I'm not worried. I can put it right. When it's dry, I can paint it darker on top. So not a problem. So, don't get excited if that kind of thing happens. You can always do something about it at this stage. But you can see that now I'm actually going more into the detail and thinking about how the light falls and what it's likely to do to the various things. And I get the detailing in on that, which is different from down here. The arches are wider, and there's a door in it. It's a very different set of shadows there. And put the little crown on it, and then the flag, which is coming out the top, which always helps. By paying attention to detail, that the picture starts to come together, and you can make your silhouette as interesting or as plain as you wish, depending on how you're going to do it. I'll have to attend to something down here. Perhaps I'll come back to that next week if I don't actually tackle it, because I'm rather enjoying this. I might do it at home, in which case I'll do something else next week. But that's the basic idea. You've done your sky, so now look at your picture, analyze how you're going to get your silhouette on. What is the silhouette? Don't be distracted by the lighting in the picture you've got. If it isn't a sunset, just do your own thing, because it will come out all right like that, I think. Okay, I think I better finish there. Good luck. Happy painting.